When 3-year-old Theo runs into the arms of a stranger and calls him Daddy, single mom Monica's world tilts. She spent years surviving alone, so why does this man feel like he belongs? Before we get into the story, comment below, where in the world you're watching from today? Monica Ray pushed a strand of brown hair from her face as she hurried down the narrow hallway of her Queens apartment. The morning sun barely filtered through the small windows, but she had no time to notice. She was already running late. "Theo, honey, we need to go," she called, grabbing her purse from the hook by the door. "Miss Patterson won't wait forever." 3-year-old. Theo appeared from his bedroom, dragging his stuffed dinosaur behind him. His curly hair stuck up in all directions, and one of his shoes was on the wrong foot. "I'm coming, Mummy," he said, his little voice still sleepy. "Rex is slow today." Monica's heart melted as she knelt down to fix his shoe, no matter how hard things got, and they were hard. Theo's smile made everything worthwhile. At 27, she hadn't planned on being a single mother living paycheck to paycheck, but here she was, making it work. "Rex can stay with Miss Patterson today while Mommy goes to work," she said, straightening his dinosaur t-shirt. "And then tonight we'll do something special." "Ice cream?" Theo's eyes lit up. "Maybe," Monica laughed, "if you're good for Miss Patterson." The neighbor who watched Theo while Monica worked as a receptionist at a dental office was a godsend. Without her, Monica didn't know how she'd manage. The daycare costs in New York were impossible on her salary. After dropping Theo off, Monica rushed to catch the subway. She slid into her seat at the reception desk just as Dr. Hoffman walked in. "Cutting it close again, Monica," he said, not unkindly. "Sorry, Dr. Hoffman. Theo had a slow start this morning." The dentist smiled. He was a decent boss who understood her situation. "How is the little man?" "Growing too fast," Monica replied, already turning on the computer system and asking more questions every day. "That's what they do," Dr. Hoffman said, heading toward his office. "Mrs. Jenkins will be here at 9. Make sure her insurance paperwork is updated." The day passed. In its usual blur of phone calls, patient check-ins, and filing. By 5 o'clock, Monica's feet ached in her sensible shoes and her mind was on Theo. As she gathered her things to leave, Dr. Hoffman stopped by her desk. "Monica, before you go, I wanted to let you know that we're cutting back on hours next month. The practice isn't doing as well as we'd hoped." Monica's stomach dropped. "Cutting back how much?" "You'll still have your job," he assured her quickly. "But we might need to reduce everyone to 4 days a week instead of 5. 1 day's pay. That was the difference between making rent and not making rent, between groceries and an empty fridge." "I understand," she said, though she didn't. How was she supposed to understand when everything was already so tight? "We'll talk more next week," Dr. Hoffman said, patting her shoulder awkwardly before walking away. Monica picked up Theo from Miss Patterson's apartment, forcing a smile as her son ran to her with a crayon drawing. "Look, Mommy, I made a dinosaur eating ice cream." "It's beautiful, baby," she said, tucking it into her purse. "Ready for our special night." Instead of ice cream, they had dinner at home, mac and cheese that Monica stretched with extra noodles. She tried not to think about the bills piling up on the kitchen counter or the reduced hours looming ahead. Tonight was for Theo. After his bath, she read him his favorite dinosaur book, watching his eyelids grow heavy. "Mommy," he murmured sleepily. "When is Daddy coming home?" The question stabbed at her heart. Theo had never known his father, a boyfriend who'd disappeared when Monica told him she was pregnant. She'd stopped telling Theo that his daddy would come back someday. It wasn't fair to give him false hope. "Remember what we talked about, sweetie," she said gently. "Some families have daddies who live with them and some don't. We're lucky because we have each other." Theo nodded, though she wasn't sure he understood. "Jimmy at daycare has a daddy who takes him to the park. Well, how about I take you to the park on Sunday? Would you like that?" His sleepy face brightened. "The big park with the castle?" "Central Park," she confirmed. "We can pack a lunch and make a day of it." "Promise?" he asked, already drifting off. "Promise." After Theo fell asleep, Monica sat at the small kitchen table with her bills and checkbook. The numbers didn't add up, no matter how many times she moved them around. With the reduced hours coming, she'd have to find another part-time Job or ask her landlord for an extension on the rent. Again. She rubbed her tired eyes. Sunday couldn't come fast enough. They both needed a break. Sunday morning dawned bright and clear. Monica packed sandwiches, apple slices, and juice boxes into a small cooler. Theo bounced around the apartment, unable to contain his excitement. "Are we going now? Can we go now?" he asked for the 10th time. "Yes, we're going now," Monica laughed, slinging the cooler strap over her shoulder and grabbing a worn blanket. "Got Rex?" Theo held up his dinosaur triumphantly. The subway ride to Manhattan was crowded, but Theo chatted happily the whole way, pointing out interesting people and asking questions about everything he saw. Monica answered patiently, savoring his curiosity. Central. Park was alive with weekend visitors, joggers, dog walkers, families with picnic baskets, and tourists taking photos. Monica found a spot on a grassy hill near a playground and spread out their blanket. "Can I go play?" Theo asked, already eyeing the slide. "Let's have lunch first," Monica said. "Then we'll play together." They ate their simple picnic, watching the clouds and making up stories about shapes they saw. After lunch, they spent an hour at the playground where Theo made fast friends with other children. Monica chatted with some of the mothers, though she felt out of place among the designer bags and expensive strollers. By mid-afternoon, Theo's energy was finally flagging. They returned to their blanket under a large oak tree, and Monica sat on a nearby bench while Theo played quietly with Rex. "Mommy, I'm thirsty," Theo said after a while. Monica reached into the cooler. "We have one juice box left." As Theo sipped his juice, Monica leaned her head back against the bench. The sun filtered through the leaves above, creating a dappled pattern on her face. She closed her eyes for just a moment, the week's exhaustion catching up with her. It couldn't have been more than a minute, 2 at most. But when she opened her eyes, Theo was gone. Her heart lurched into her throat. She jumped to her feet, scanning the area wildly. "Theo," she called, trying not to sound panicked. "Theo, where are you?" Other parents looked up, some with sympathy, others with judgment. Monica spun around, her eyes searching desperately for his dinosaur t-shirt. That's when she heard it, the unmistakable sound of Theo's giggle. She whirled toward the sound and froze. About 20 yards away, at the top of a small hill, stood a tall man in casual but expensive-looking clothes, and wrapped around his leg, looking up at him with pure joy, was Theo. "Daddy!" her son called. Out, his arms stretched upward. Monica's world tilted. She rushed toward them, her heart pounding. The man looked surprised but not uncomfortable. He knelt down to Theo's level, his expression gentle. "Hey, buddy," he said softly. "Not quite, but close enough for today." As Monica reached them, breathless and terrified, the man looked up. His eyes were kind, deep blue, and startlingly direct. "I think this little guy belongs to you?" he asked. "Theo," Monica gasped, pulling her son into her arms. "You can't run off like that. You scared me." "But I found Daddy," Theo said innocently, pointing to the stranger. Monica's face burned with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry," she said to the man. "His father isn't... he doesn't really know." The man stood, brushing off his knees. "No harm done," he said. "He's a great kid." Up close, Monica could see that he was handsome in a way that suggested he didn't think much about it. His dark hair was slightly mussed by the breeze, and his smile seemed genuine, not patronizing. "I'm Adrian," he said, extending his hand. "Adrian Wells." "Monica Ray," she replied automatically, shaking his hand. "And you've met Theo, apparently." "He came running up that hill like a man on a mission," Adrian said, smiling down at Theo. "Said he needed to tell me something important." "And what was that?" Monica asked her son. Theo shrugged. "I just wanted to say hi to the daddy." Monica wanted the ground to swallow her whole. "We should go," she said quickly, gathering Theo's hand. "I'm really sorry he bothered you." "He didn't bother me at all," Adrian said. His eyes lingered on Theo with something like wonder. "Actually, he made my day." There was something in his voice, a note of sincerity that caught Monica off guard. This man didn't seem annoyed or eager to get away. "Well, thank you for being kind about it," she said, already turning to leave. "Wait," Adrian called. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. Just in case. In case of what? Monica asked, not taking the card. Adrian looked momentarily uncertain, a flash of vulnerability that seemed at odds with his confident demeanor. In case Theo wants to say hi again sometime, he said simply. No pressure. Against her better judgment, Monica took the card. Thank you, but we'll be fine. As they walked away, Theo looked back over her shoulder and waved enthusiastically. Bye, almost, Daddy, Adrian waved back, a small smile playing at his lips. It wasn't until they were on the subway heading home that Monica finally looked at the business card. In simple, elegant lettering, it read, Adrian Wells, CEO, Wells Development Group. She quickly searched the name on her phone and nearly dropped it when the results appeared. Adrian Wells wasn't just some nice guy in the park. He was a billionaire, real estate developer, whose projects dominated the Manhattan skyline. Monica slipped the card into her purse, certain she would never use it. Men like Adrian Wells didn't belong in her world, and mistaken daddy moments aside, she had no intention of letting Theo get attached to someone who would inevitably disappoint him. But as Theo dozed against her shoulder on the ride home, she couldn't help remembering the look in Adrian's eyes when her son had called him daddy. It wasn't discomfort or pity, it was recognition, as if something long dormant had suddenly awakened. I've written part 1 of The Day He Called You Daddy, according to your specifications. The story introduces Monica Ray, a struggling single mother, and her 3-year-old son Theo, setting up their challenging life circumstances. When they visit Central Park for a much-needed break, Theo runs to a stranger and calls him Daddy, leading to their first encounter with Adrian Wells, a billionaire developer who finds himself unexpectedly moved by the interaction. I've kept the language simple and direct, focusing on the emotional elements rather than complex descriptions. The narrative follows a straightforward timeline and establishes the beginning of what will develop into a romance as requested. Adrian Wells stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of his penthouse, watching the lights of Manhattan flicker to life as dusk settled over the city. A half-empty glass of scotch sat untouched on his desk, next to architectural plans for his newest project, luxury condominiums in Brooklyn that would make him millions. He should have been focused on tomorrow's board meeting. Instead, his mind kept returning to a little boy in a dinosaur t-shirt who had looked up at him with complete trust. Daddy. The word echoed in his head, stirring something he'd thought long buried. Adrian had never planned to be a father. His own childhood had seen to that. His phone rang, pulling him from his thoughts. The screen displayed Richard Wells, his father. Adrian let it go to voicemail, as he had for the past 3 years. Whatever merger or acquisition the old man wanted to discuss could wait forever as far as Adrian was concerned. He turned back to the plans on his desk, but instead of seeing building specs, he saw Theo's face, and behind him, the worried eyes of his mother, Monica. She'd been beautiful in a natural way, wearing no makeup, her clothes simple and worn, nothing like the women who usually surrounded him at charity galas and business functions. Adrian picked up his phone and dialed his assistant. Lydia, cancel my morning meetings tomorrow, all of them. But sir, the investors from reschedule, he said firmly. Something's come up. The next morning, Adrian found himself back in Central Park, wearing jeans and a casual button-down shirt. He felt strangely nervous as he walked the path where he'd met Theo and Monica. The chances of running into them again were slim, but he couldn't shake the urge to try. After an hour of wandering, he gave up and headed toward the exit. That's when he spotted her, Monica, rushing down the sidewalk outside the park, her hair pulled back in a hasty ponytail. She was dressed in office clothes, hurrying like someone running late. Without thinking, Adrian followed, keeping a respectful distance. He watched her enter a dental office several blocks away. The sign read, Hoffman Family Dentistry. Adrian hesitated outside. What was he doing? Following a woman he'd met once. This wasn't like him. But something about Monica and her son had gotten under his skin. He returned to his office, distracted during meetings all day. By evening, he'd made a decision that surprised even himself. The following Sunday, Adrian returned to the same spot in Central Park where he'd met Theo. He brought a coffee and sat on a bench, pretending to read the newspaper while scanning the area. After nearly 2 hours, he was about to leave when he heard it. A familiar, excited voice. "Mommy, look, it's the almost daddy." Adrian looked up to see Theo running toward him. Monica hurrying behind with a look of disbelief on her face. "Hi there, buddy," Adrian said, smiling as Theo skidded to a stop in front of him. "You came back," Theo exclaimed, as if it were the most natural thing in the world to expect. Monica caught up, slightly out of breath. "I'm sorry," she said. "He saw you from the playground and took off." "No need to apologize," Adrian replied, standing. "It's good to see you both again." Monica studied him suspiciously. "Are you here every Sunday?" Adrian felt his face warm. "Just today. I had some thinking to do." It wasn't entirely a lie. Theo tugged at Adrian's pant leg. "Do you want to see me make a sandcastle? I'm really good at it." Adrian looked to Monica, seeking permission. She hesitated, then gave a small nod. "I'd love to see your sandcastle," Adrian told Theo. They walked to the playground together, Theo chattering the whole way about dinosaurs and how Rex, his stuffed dinosaur, was at home taking a nap. At the sandbox, Theo immediately began scooping sand. "He's very friendly," Adrian said to Monica as they sat on a nearby bench. "You've done a great job with him." "Thank you," she replied, her guard still up. "He's all I have." Adrian nodded, not pushing for more information. "I'm sorry if we surprised you today. I wasn't planning to run into you again." "Weren't you?" Monica asked, a hint of challenge in her voice. "I looked you up, Mr. Wells. People like you don't just happen to be in public parks on Sunday afternoons." Adrian smiled. "Call me Adrian, please. And people like me?" "Billionaire real estate developers," she said flatly. "I know who you are." "That's what I do," Adrian said. "It's not who I am." Before Monica could respond, Theo called out, "Look, I made a tower." They both turned to see a surprisingly well-formed sand structure. "That's impressive," Adrian said, genuinely amazed. "You're quite the architect." Theo beamed with pride. "Can you help me make it bigger?" Adrian glanced at Monica, who nodded again, a small smile finally breaking through her reserve. Adrian joined Theo in the sandbox, not caring about his expensive jeans getting dirty. Together, they built walls and towers, Adrian showing Theo how to use water from the drinking fountain to make the sand stick better. "Are you a builder too?" Theo asked him. "I am," Adrian replied. "I build big buildings in the city." "Like castles?" Adrian chuckled. "Sort of, not as fun as sandcastles, though." From her bench, Monica watched them with mixed emotions. There was something touching about seeing her son play so comfortably with this man, a stranger who somehow didn't feel like a stranger. But she'd learned the hard way not to trust too easily, especially men who seemed too good to be true. After the sandcastle was complete, Theo declared he was thirsty. Monica reached into her bag for a juice box. "Actually," Adrian said, "I brought something, just in case." He pulled a small cooler bag from beside the bench and took out 3 juice boxes. "Apple juice," Theo exclaimed. "My favorite." "Mine too," Adrian said with a wink. Monica accepted the juice box he offered her, their fingers brushing briefly. "Thank you," she said. "That was thoughtful." They sat together while Theo played, making small talk that gradually became more comfortable. Adrian learned that Monica worked as a receptionist and lived in Queens. He didn't tell her that he'd already seen her workplace, feeling that might come across as stalkerish rather than coincidental. "And what about you?" Monica asked. "When you're not building sandcastles in the park with strange children?" Adrian smiled. "I work too much, live alone, nothing exciting." "No wife? Girlfriend?" Monica asked, then immediately looked embarrassed. "Sorry, that's none of my business." "No, it's fine," Adrian assured her. "No wife, no girlfriend. I had a fiancée once, but it didn't work out." "I'm sorry," Adrian shrugged. "Don't be. She wanted the billionaire, not the person underneath." He paused, realizing he'd revealed more than intended. "What about Theo's father, if you don't mind me asking?" Monica's face closed off slightly. "He left when I told him I was pregnant. Hasn't been in the picture since." "His loss," Adrian said simply. As the afternoon wore on, Theo grew tired. Adrian helped them pack up their things and walked them to the subway entrance. "This was nice," he said, surprising himself with how much he meant it. "It was," Monica admitted. Thank you for the juice boxes and the castle engineering. Adrian hesitated, then took the plunge. Would it be okay if I met you both here next Sunday, same time? Monica studied him, clearly weighing her options. Why? It was a fair question, one Adrian wasn't sure he could answer. Because Theo makes me smile, he said honestly. And because it's nice to spend time with people who don't want anything from me. Everyone wants something, Monica replied, but her tone was gentle. Then how about this? I want to build better sandcastles. Theo's a good teacher. Monica laughed, a sound that made something in Adrian's chest tighten. Okay, she said finally. Next Sunday. But just as friends. Just as friends, Adrian agreed. He watched them disappear into the subway station, feeling lighter than he had in years. At work the next day, Adrian found himself distracted during an important meeting with investors. His mind kept drifting to the sandcastle and Theo's laughter. Adrian, your thoughts on the South Street property? His business partner, James, was looking at him expectantly. Sorry, Adrian said, refocusing. I think we should pass. Pass? James looked shocked. It's prime real estate. We've been eyeing that location for years. The current tenants would have to be evicted, Adrian pointed out. Most of them are families who've lived there for generations. That's business, one of the investors said dismissively. They'll get fair market compensation. Adrian thought about Monica, working hard to keep a roof over her son's head. Fair market isn't always fair, he said. We'll find another location. After the meeting, James cornered him in his office. What's going on with you? First you cancel meetings, now you're turning down perfect opportunities. I'm reassessing some things, Adrian said vaguely. Is this about your father's offer? Because if you're considering the merger, I'm not, Adrian said firmly. That door is closed. The rest of the week passed in a blur of meetings and decisions, but Adrian found himself approaching problems differently. Each time his team presented a new development project, he asked questions he'd never considered before. How would it affect the existing community? Were they displacing families? Could they create more affordable units? By Friday, rumors were circulating through the company that Adrian Wells was having some kind of crisis. Sunday couldn't come fast enough. Adrian arrived at the park early, bringing a bigger cooler with juice boxes, sandwiches, and cookies. He'd also tucked a small toy dinosaur inside, wrapped in simple blue paper. Monica and Theo arrived right on time. Theo ran to Adrian, stopping just short of hugging him. We came back, he announced proudly. I'm very glad you did, Adrian replied, his smile genuine. Monica looked more relaxed this time, her hair loose around her shoulders. She wore jeans and a simple blouse. Nothing fancy, but Adrian thought she looked beautiful. Hi, she said, almost shyly. Hi, yourself, Adrian replied. Oh, I brought lunch. I hope that's okay. They spread a blanket under a tree and shared the simple meal. Theo chatted about his week at daycare, while Monica occasionally added details. Adrian found himself soaking in the ordinary conversation like a man who'd been thirsting for it his whole life. After lunch, Adrian presented Theo with the small wrapped package. I brought something for you, he said. Monica frowned. You didn't have to do that. It's nothing big, Adrian assured her. Just a little something I saw and thought of him. Theo tore open the paper excitedly, revealing a small Triceratops figure. Her dinosaur, he gasped. Like Rex. Is it okay? Adrian asked Monica quietly. She nodded, though he could see her reservations. It's very thoughtful. Thank you. They spent the afternoon at the playground again. This time, Adrian pushed Theo on the swings while Monica watched from a bench, a small smile playing on her lips. As the weeks passed, their Sunday meetings became a routine. Adrian always brought juice boxes. Sometimes he brought small gifts for Theo. Nothing expensive, just little tokens, a colorful rock, a toy car, a picture book about dinosaurs. Monica gradually opened up more about her life, her struggles to make ends meet, her dreams of going back to school someday, her fears about raising Theo alone. Adrian listened, offering support without judgment. He never told her about his wealth or position. If she had looked him up, she didn't mention it again, and he liked that. With Monica and Theo, he was just Adrian. Not a billionaire, not a CEO, just a man who enjoyed building sandcastles on Sundays. One rainy Sunday in late October, they met at a small diner instead of the park. Theo colored on a placemat while Adrian and Monica talked over coffee. "You never talk about your family," Monica observed. "Do they live in New York?" Adrian tensed slightly. "My mother passed away when I was 12. My father and we don't speak anymore." "I'm sorry," Monica said, reaching across the table to touch his hand briefly. "That must be hard." "It was his choice," Adrian said, then corrected himself. "No, it was mine. He wanted me to be someone I'm not." "And who are you?" Monica asked softly. Adrian looked at her, then at Theo, who was carefully drawing what appeared to be 3 stick figures holding hands. "I'm still figuring that out," he admitted, "but I think I'm getting closer." As they were leaving the diner, Theo slipped his small hand into Adrian's naturally, as if he'd been doing it his whole life. Adrian felt a surge of emotion so powerful it nearly took his breath away. "You okay?" Monica asked, noticing his expression. "Yeah," Adrian said, his voice slightly hoarse. "I'm good. Really good." Outside, Adrian hailed a taxi for them, insisting on paying the fare to Queens despite Monica's protests. "See you next Sunday?" he asked as they got in. Monica smiled, the most open smile she'd given him yet. "We'll be there." As the taxi pulled away, Adrian stood in the rain, not caring that his expensive coat was getting soaked. For the first time in his adult life, he had something to look forward to that had nothing to do with business or money, and it terrified him how much that mattered. I've completed part 2 of The Day He Called You Daddy, continuing the story. Thev, Monica, Theo, and Adrian. In this section, we see Adrian seeking out Monica and Theo, their chance second meeting, and the development of their Sunday ritual at the park. The relationship slowly builds as Adrian bonds with Theo over sandcastles and brings him small, thoughtful gifts. Meanwhile, Monica gradually begins to lower her guard. We also get glimpses of how meeting this small family is changing Adrian's approach to his business and making him reconsider his priorities. The part ends with the growing attachment between them all, particularly the moment when Theo naturally takes Adrian's hand, triggering powerful emotions in Adrian. "Ms. Ray, could I speak with you for a moment?" Monica looked up from the reception desk to see Dr. Hoffman motioning her into his office. Her stomach tightened. It had been 2 months since he'd mentioned cutting back hours, but so far nothing had changed. She'd been hoping the threat had passed. She followed him into the small office and took a seat. "Monica, I've appreciated your work here for the past 3 years," Dr. Hoffman began, his expression grave, "but I'm afraid I have to let you go." The words hit her like a physical blow. "Let me go, but I thought we were just cutting back hours." "The practice is struggling more than I anticipated," he explained. "I've decided to bring in my nephew to handle the front desk. He's just finished business school and needs experience. And he'll work for free," Monica said flatly. Dr. Hoffman had the decency to look embarrassed. "It's a family decision, I'm sorry. I'll give you 2 weeks severance and an excellent reference." Monica nodded mechanically, too stunned to argue. Back at her desk, she stared at her computer screen, panic rising in her chest. 2 weeks severance wouldn't cover next month's rent. Jobs were scarce, especially ones that would work with her schedule as a single mother. "Ms. Ray?" A patient was standing at the desk waiting to check out. Monica forced a smile and pushed her fears aside. She still had 2 weeks to figure something out. She always did. That night, after putting Theo to bed, Monica sat at her kitchen table with the classified ads and her laptop. Job after job required degrees she didn't have or experience she couldn't claim. The few that seemed promising paid even less than what she was making now. Her eyes fell on Adrian's business card, which she'd kept in her wallet all these weeks. They'd been meeting every Sunday for nearly 2 months now. Theo adored him, and if Monica was honest with herself, she looked forward to those days more than she should. But she'd never asked Adrian for anything, and she wasn't about to start. Now, whatever was growing between them, this fragile friendship or maybe something more, it wasn't based on what he could give her. She put the card away and returned to her search. Sunday arrived with unusually warm November sunshine. Monica and Theo made their way to Central Park, where Adrian was waiting at their usual spot with juice boxes and a smile that made Monica's heart beat a little faster. "There's my favorite park, buddy," Adrian said as Theo ran to him. This time, Theo threw his arms around Adrian's legs in a hug, and Adrian's eyes met Monica's over her son's head, full of quiet joy. They spent the afternoon playing catch with a soft ball Adrian had brought. Monica tried to participate with her usual enthusiasm, but her worry about the future kept intruding. "Everything okay?" Adrian asked when Theo ran ahead to the playground. "You seem distracted today." Monica hesitated. "Just work stuff," she said finally. "Nothing important." Adrian studied her face. "It seems important to you." Something about his genuine concern broke through her reserve. "I lost my job," she admitted. "Well, I will in 2 weeks. The dentist is bringing in his nephew to replace me." "I'm sorry," Adrian said, and she could tell he meant it. "That's tough." "I'll figure it out," Monica said quickly. "I always do." "I know you will," Adrian replied, "but if there's anything I can do to help—" "There isn't," Monica cut him off, perhaps too sharply. "I'm not looking for handouts, Adrian." He looked hurt. "That's not what I was suggesting." "I'm sorry," she sighed. "I'm just stressed. But Theo and I will be fine. We always are." Adrian nodded, respecting her boundaries. "Of course you will." They watched Theo on the slide, his laughter carrying across the playground. "He's an amazing kid," Adrian said. "You've done an incredible job with him." "Thank you," Monica said softly. "He's the best thing in my life." Adrian turned to look at her, his expression serious. "Monica, I know we haven't known each other that long, but I want you to know that these Sundays mean a lot to me. You and Theo, you've changed something in me." The intensity in his eyes made her breath catch. "Adrian, I'm not asking for anything," he said quickly. "I just wanted you to know that." Before she could respond, Theo came running back, asking Adrian to push him on the swings. The rest of the afternoon passed pleasantly, but Monica couldn't shake the feeling that something was shifting between them, something both wonderful and terrifying. The following Wednesday, Monica was sorting through mail when she found an envelope from her landlord. Inside was a notice that her rent would increase by $300 starting next month, an impossible amount given her current situation, let alone without a job. She called the management company immediately. "I'm sorry, Ms. Ray, but the increase applies to all units," the bored voice on the other end explained. "The building has new owners." New owners? When did this happen? "Last week. Wells Development Group purchased the property." Monica nearly dropped the phone. Wells Development Group. Adrian's company. Her mind raced. Was this why he'd been spending time with them? To gather information about tenants for a property his company was acquiring? Had she been played for a fool all this time? She hung up without another word, anger and betrayal burning in her chest. All those Sundays, all those conversations, had they meant nothing? Was it all just business research? That night she couldn't sleep. By morning, her anger had hardened into resolve. She would confront Adrian directly. No more Sunday meetings. No more juice boxes, no more false friendship. She found his company's headquarters online, a gleaming skyscraper in Midtown with his name prominently displayed. She dressed carefully in her best work clothes, dropped Theo at Miss Patterson's with an excuse about a job interview, and took the subway to Manhattan. The lobby of the Wells building was intimidating, all marble and glass and security guards. Monica approached the front desk with more confidence than she felt. "I'd like to see Adrian Wells," she said firmly. The receptionist, perfectly coiffed and wearing an outfit that probably cost more than Monica's monthly rent, looked her up and down. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but he'll want to see me." "Tell him Monica Ray is here." The receptionist raised an eyebrow but picked up her phone. After a brief conversation, she looked surprised. "Mr. Wells will see you. Take the executive elevator to the top floor. His assistant will meet you." This elevator ride gave Monica time to rehearse what she wanted to say. By the time the doors opened, she was ready. A polished woman in her 40s greeted her. "Ms. Ray, I'm Lydia, Mr. Wells's assistant. Please follow me." She led Monica through a sleek office space where everyone seemed to be moving with purpose. They stopped at a large set of double doors, which Lydia opened after a quick knock. "Ms. Ray to see you, sir." Adrian was standing behind an enormous desk, looking out at the city through floor-to-ceiling windows. When he turned, his face lit up with genuine pleasure at seeing her, a reaction that momentarily threw Monica off balance. "Monica, this is a surprise. Please, come in," he said, coming around the desk. Lydia closed the doors behind her, leaving them alone in the spacious office. For a moment, Monica was speechless, taking in the luxury around her. The art on the walls, the custom furniture, the view that stretched for miles. "Would you like coffee? Tea?" Adrian offered, gesturing to a sitting area. "No," Monica said, finding her voice. "I want to know why you bought my building." Adrian looked genuinely confused. "Your building? I don't understand." "Don't pretend you don't know," Monica said, anger returning. "Wells Development Group just bought my apartment building in Queens. The same week I told you I lost my job, my rent goes up by $300. Was that the plan all along?" Adrian's face paled. "Monica, I swear to you I had no idea. How can I believe that? Your name is on the company." "Please sit down," Adrian said, his voice serious. "Let me explain." Reluctantly, Monica took a seat on one of the sleek leather couches. Adrian sat across from her, leaning forward earnestly. "Wells Development owns dozens of properties," he began. "We acquire new ones every month. The decisions about which properties to buy are made by a team of managers. I don't personally approve every acquisition, especially smaller residential buildings." "Convenient," Monica said, not ready to believe him. "I understand why you're upset," Adrian continued, "but I would never use our friendship to gather information about tenants. That's not who I am." "Then who are you, Adrian? Because the man sitting in this office doesn't look anything like the guy who builds sandcastles in the park." Adrian sighed, running a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar from their Sundays together that it made Monica's heart ache despite her anger. "This is what I do," he said, gesturing around the office. "But it's not who I am. Not anymore." He paused, meeting her eyes directly. "Meeting you and Theo, it changed things for me." "What does that mean?" "It means I've been questioning everything. The way I do business, the way I live my life." Adrian stood and walked to his desk, pressing a button on his phone. "Lydia, bring me the file on all recent acquisitions in Queens, please." A few minutes later, Lydia entered with a thick folder. Adrian took it and began flipping through the pages. "Here it is," he said, finding what he was looking for. "Elmhurst Apartments, purchased last week." He read further, his frown deepening. "The acquisition plan includes a 15% rent increase across all units to maximize return on investment." He looked up at Monica, genuine dismay in his eyes. "I didn't know about this specific purchase, but I should have. This is exactly the kind of business practice I've been trying to change." He returned to the phone. "Lydia, get me James Forrester immediately." While they waited, Adrian turned back to Monica. "I'm going to fix this," he promised. "Not just for you, but for everyone in that building." A few minutes later, the doors opened, and a man in an expensive suit entered. "You wanted to see me?" he asked Adrian, glancing curiously at Monica. "James, this is the Elmhurst property in Queens," Adrian said, handing him the file. "Cancel the rent increases, all of them." James looked startled. "Cancel?" "Adrian, we just invested millions in that acquisition. The increases are necessary to recoup." "Find another way," Adrian said firmly. "Better management, energy efficiency upgrades, anything. But no rent increases for at least 2 years. That will cut our projected profits by..." "So I don't care," Adrian interrupted. "Make it happen, James. Today." James looked like he wanted to argue but thought better of it. "Yes, sir," he said stiffly. Taking the file and leaving, Adrian turned back to Monica, who had watched the exchange with growing astonishment. "I'm sorry," he said simply. "I should have known what was happening in my own company." Monica didn't know what to say. Her anger was fading, replaced by confusion. "You just gave up millions of dollars in profits," Adrian shrugged. "Money I don't need." "Why?" "Because some things are more important." He hesitated, then continued. "Monica, there's something else you should know. I've been meaning to tell you, but I wasn't sure how." "What is it?" she asked, suddenly wary again. I've been looking for a way to help without overstepping, Adrian explained. When you told me about losing your job, I made some calls. Monica tensed. What kind of calls? To people I know who might be hiring, Adrian said. A friend of mine runs a community center in Queens, not far from your apartment. They need an office manager, better pay than the dental office, regular hours, and they have childcare on site. You did what? Monica stood up, anger flaring again. I told you I didn't want your help. I just made a recommendation, Adrian said quickly. I didn't promise you'd take the job. I didn't even use your name. I just told them I knew someone qualified who might be interested. You had no right, Monica said, her voice tight. I don't need you to rescue me, Adrian. That's not what I was trying to do, he insisted. I respect your independence, I admire it, but friends help each other, don't they? Is that what we are? Friends? Monica asked, the question carrying more weight than she intended. Adrian stood and moved closer to her. I think we both know it's become more than that, he said quietly. At least for me. The honesty in his eyes made her heart race. For weeks she'd been fighting her growing feelings for him, telling herself it could never work. They were from different worlds. Adrian, look around you, she gestured to the luxurious office. This is your reality. Mine is a tiny apartment in Queens with a son who calls strangers daddy because he's never had one. Theo is amazing, Adrian said, his voice thick with emotion, and so are you. The way you care for him, the way you fight for him every day. You're the strongest person I've ever met. And you're the richest person I've ever met, Monica countered. Do you know what that's like? To sit in a park with someone who could buy the whole park if he wanted to. I don't care about the money, Adrian said. That's because you have it, Monica replied. My rent just went up by $300 and I don't have a job. That's my reality. Adrian stepped closer. Monica, I'm falling in love with you, he said softly. With both of you. I know it hasn't been that long, but when Theo ran up to me that day in the park, something changed in me. Something I can't explain. Monica felt tears threatening. Are you just trying to buy your way into something real? She asked, the words escaping before she could stop them. The hurt on Adrian's face was unmistakable. Is that what you think? That I'm trying to buy your affection? Buy Theo's? I don't know what to think anymore, Monica admitted. This is all too much. Adrian stepped back, giving her space. I don't want to buy anything, he said quietly. I want to earn it. I want to deserve that little boy calling me daddy someday. If you'll let me try. The raw honesty in his voice made Monica's defenses crumble, but she wasn't ready, not yet. I need time, she said finally. To think. To figure out what's best for Theo. Adrian nodded, respecting her decision. I understand. Take all the time you need. He hesitated, then added, the job at the community center. The interview is tomorrow at 10 if you want it. No strings attached. You'd get it on your own merits. Monica nodded, gathering her purse. Thank you for fixing the rent issue, she said formally. You don't have to thank me for doing the right thing, Adrian replied. As she turned to leave, Adrian called after her. Monica, will we see you on Sunday? She paused at the door, not turning around. I don't know, she said honestly. I need to think. I'll be there, Adrian said. Same time, same place. With juice boxes. Monica left without responding, her emotions too tangled to make sense of. In the elevator, she leaned against the wall and closed her eyes, replaying Adrian's words. I'm falling in love with you. With both of you. Despite everything, a small part of her heart whispered that she was falling too, and it terrified her. I've completed part 3 of The Day He Called You Daddy. In this section, the story reaches its emotional conflict point as Monica loses her job, discovers her building has been purchased by Adrian's company with a rent increase, and confronts him at his office. We see the stark contrast between their worlds as Monica enters Adrian's corporate environment. The conflict deepens when she learns he's been trying to help her find a job despite her insistence on independence. Their feelings for each other become explicit, with Adrian confessing he's falling in love with her and Theo, while Monica questions whether she can trust his intentions or bridge their different worlds. The part ends with Monica needing time. to think about what's best for her and Theo, uncertain whether she'll continue their Sunday meetings. Monica didn't go to the park that Sunday, or the next. Each time she told herself it was the right decision, that whatever was growing between her and Adrian was too complicated, too risky. But Theo asked about him constantly. "When are we going to see the nice man with the apple juice?" He would ask, his innocent eyes full of confusion. "Not today, sweetie," was all Monica could say. She did, however, go to the interview at the community center. It was a bright, welcoming place with colorful murals on the walls and the sound of children laughing from the daycare area. The director, a warm woman named Ellen, seemed genuinely impressed with Monica's experience. "You're exactly what we're looking for," Ellen told her. "When can you start?" The position paid nearly 30% more than her job at the dental office, and the on-site childcare would save her hundreds each month. It was perfect, too perfect. "Someone recommended me for this position," Monica said carefully. "Adrian Wells." Ellen nodded. "Adrian serves on our board. He mentioned he knew someone who might be a good fit, but he didn't give me a name." "Did he donate money to create this position?" Ellen looked surprised. "No, this opening has been in our budget for months. We've been interviewing candidates for weeks." She studied Monica curiously. "Is there a problem?" Monica shook her head, embarrassed. "No, I just wanted to be clear about how I got the interview." "You got the interview because your resume was impressive," Ellen said firmly. "And you'll get the job because you're qualified. Adrian's recommendation just put your resume on top of the pile. That's all." Relief washed over Monica. Adrian had been telling the truth. He hadn't created a position for her or pulled strings to get her hired. He'd simply opened a door, one she had to walk through on her own merits. She accepted the position and started the following Monday. The work was challenging but rewarding, and seeing Theo happy in the center's daycare eased her mind. For the first time in years, she felt like she could breathe, but something was missing. 3 weeks after her confrontation with Adrian, Monica was organizing files in her new office when Ellen stopped by. "How's everything going?" she asked. "Great," Monica replied honestly. "This place is amazing. Theo loves it here." Ellen smiled. "I'm glad to hear it." She hesitated, then added, "Adrian called yesterday. He was asking about you, wanted to know if you were settling in okay." Monica's heart skipped. "What did you tell him?" "Just that you were doing excellent work," Ellen said. He seemed relieved. She studied Monica's face. "He didn't ask me to tell you he called. In fact, he specifically asked me not to mention it." "Then why are you telling me?" Ellen leaned against the doorframe. "Because I've known Adrian for years. He's done a lot for this community center, but I've never seen him look the way he did when he mentioned your name." She paused. "Whatever is between you two, it seems important." After Ellen left, Monica sat at her desk, unable to focus on work. She missed Adrian. More importantly, Theo missed him. The Sundays they'd spent together had become precious to both of them. That evening, as she tucked Theo into bed, he looked up at her with serious eyes. "Mommy, is the nice man gone forever like my real daddy?" The question broke her heart. "No, sweetie, he's not gone forever." "Then why don't we see him anymore? Did he do something bad?" Monica stroked his hair. "No, he didn't do anything bad. Mommy just needed some time to think." "About what?" "About grown-up things," she said. "Sometimes grown-ups get scared too." Theo considered this. "Are you scared of the nice man?" "Not of him," Monica admitted. "Just, scared of changes." "I miss him," Theo said simply. "He makes good sandcastles." "I know, baby." Monica kissed his forehead. "Get some sleep now." After Theo fell asleep, Monica went to her purse and took out Adrian's business card, worn at the edges from being handled so often. She dialed his number before she could change her mind. He answered on the second ring. "Adrian Wells." "It's Monica," she said, her voice catching slightly. "Monica." The way he said her name, like something precious being held carefully, made her close her eyes. "I'm sorry I didn't call sooner," she began. "You don't need to apologize," Adrian interrupted gently. "You needed time, I understand. The job at the community center, it's perfect. Thank you for telling them about me." You got that job on your own, Adrian said. I just made an introduction. There was a pause, both of them unsure what to say next. How's Theo? Adrian finally asked, his voice soft. He misses you, Monica admitted. He asked tonight if you were gone forever like his real father. She heard Adrian's sharp intake of breath. What did you tell him? That you weren't gone forever. Monica hesitated. That I was just scared. Are you? Still scared? Yes, she answered honestly. But maybe for different reasons now. Will you tell me about them? Adrian asked. Not over the phone, in person. Monica took a deep breath. Sunday. At the park? I'll be there, Adrian said, relief evident in his voice. With juice boxes. Adrian, Monica said before he could hang up. I've missed you too. Sunday morning dawned clear and cold, the first real hint of winter in the air. Monica dressed Theo warmly, her stomach fluttering with nerves. Are we going to see the nice man today? Theo asked excitedly as they walked to the subway. Yes. We are, Monica replied, smiling at his enthusiasm. Will he bring apple juice? I think so. And can I give him a hug? Monica squeezed his little hand. I think he'd like that very much. When they arrived at their usual spot, Adrian wasn't there. Monica checked her watch. They were a few minutes early. They sat on the bench to wait, Theo swinging his legs impatiently. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Monica tried not to worry, but doubt began to creep in. Had he changed his mind? Had something come up? Where is he, Mommy? Theo asked, his face falling. He'll be here, Monica assured him, hoping she was right. After 15 minutes, Theo spotted something. Mommy, look, there's something on our tree. Monica followed his gaze to the oak tree they always sat under. Something was attached to the trunk, a small wooden plaque. They walked over to investigate. The plaque was beautifully crafted, the words burned into the wood. For the boy who called me Daddy, and the woman who made me want to be one. Monica's breath caught in her throat. She looked around, but Adrian was nowhere to be seen. What does it say, Mommy? Theo asked. Before she could answer, she heard Theo gasp with delight. Mommy, look who's here! Monica turned to see Adrian walking toward them from the other side of the hill. He wasn't alone. Beside him trotted a small golden retriever puppy on a leash. Theo squealed with excitement and ran toward them. Adrian knelt down, letting Theo pet the puppy, who responded with enthusiastic licks to the boy's face. Monica approached more slowly, taking in the sight of Adrian in casual jeans and a sweater. His face lit up with joy as he watched Theo with the puppy. You're late, she said when she reached them, but she was smiling. I had an important stop to make, Adrian replied, nodding toward the puppy. This is Max. He needed a home. And you thought we needed a dog? Monica raised an eyebrow. Adrian's smile faltered slightly. Is it too much? I should have asked first. It is too much, Monica agreed. But look at them. Theo was sitting on the grass, the puppy crawling all over him as he giggled uncontrollably. The sound of his laughter, so pure and joyful, brought tears to Monica's eyes. I can take him back, Adrian offered, or keep him at my place. I just thought, it's perfect, Monica interrupted softly. He's perfect. Relief washed over Adrian's face. I've missed you both so much, he said. These weeks without you? He trailed off, unable to find the right words. I saw the plaque, Monica said. It's beautiful. Adrian looked slightly embarrassed. Too much again? No, Monica shook her head. Not too much. She took a deep breath. I went to the community center that day. I took the job. I know, Adrian said. Ellen told me you're doing great. She also told me you called to check on me, Monica said, but asked her not to tell me. Adrian shrugged. I didn't want you to feel pressured. I wanted to give you the space you asked for. I needed it, Monica admitted. I needed to see that I could stand on my own, that I could provide for Theo without help. But I realized something. What's that? Being strong doesn't mean doing everything alone, she said. Sometimes it means being brave enough to let someone, and Adrian stepped closer. And have you? Let me in? Instead of answering, Monica rose on her tiptoes and kissed him softly. Against his lips, she whispered, I'm falling in love with you too. Adrian wrapped his arms around her, deepening the kiss. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "I was so afraid I'd lost you both." "You didn't," Monica assured him. "You just gave me time to catch up to what Theo knew from the beginning." "And what was that?" "That you belonged with us," she said simply. A squeal of laughter interrupted them. They turned to see Theo rolling on the grass with Max, both of them equally delighted with each other. "I have something else for you," Adrian said, reaching into his pocket. "Another thing that might be too much." He pulled out a small velvet box. Monica's eyes widened. "It's not what you think," Adrian said quickly. "Or maybe it is, but not yet." He opened the box to reveal a simple silver key. "It's a key to my house. I thought maybe you and Theo might want to come over sometime for dinner or a weekend or whenever you want." Monica took the key, turning it over in her hand. "Your house. It's by the water," Adrian said. "Lots of room for a little boy and a puppy to run around. I bought it years ago, but I've never really made it a home. It's just been a place to sleep." "And now?" Adrian looked at Theo, his expression softening. "Now I want it to be more than that. I want it to be a place where a family could be happy." "A family," Monica repeated, the word full of meaning. "No pressure," Adrian assured her quickly. "One step at a time. I just want you to know where I hope this is going." Monica slipped the key into her pocket. "We'll start with dinner," she said, "and see where it takes us." Adrian smiled, relief and happiness lighting up his face. "I can work with that." They walked over to join Theo and Max. When Theo saw them approach, he jumped up excitedly. "Mommy!" "Adrian, can we keep him, please?" "Yes, we can keep him," Monica said, ruffling his hair. Theo cheered, then threw his arms around Adrian's legs. "Thank you, thank you." Adrian knelt down to Theo's level. "You're welcome, buddy. I thought you might like a puppy." Theo nodded enthusiastically, then asked with childlike directness, "Are you going to be my daddy now?" Monica started to intervene, but Adrian caught her eye, asking silently for permission to answer. She nodded. "Not right away," Adrian told Theo gently. "But maybe someday if that's what you and your mom want. For now, I'm just going to be around a lot more. Is that okay?" Theo considered this seriously, then nodded. "That's okay, but I still want to call you Daddy sometimes. Is that okay too?" Adrian's eyes glistened with emotion. "Yeah, buddy, that's okay with me." Monica watched as her son wrapped his arms around Adrian's neck, holding on tight. Adrian closed, his eyes savoring the moment, his arms encircling Theo with a tenderness that spoke volumes. In that moment, Monica knew. This was where they belonged, all three of them together. The path ahead might not be simple or perfect, but it would be theirs to walk together. Later that afternoon, they walked through Central Park with Max trotting beside them, Theo between, Monica and Adrian holding both their hands. Every few steps they would lift him up and swing him forward, his laughter ringing out in the crisp air. "Higher," Theo would call, "higher," and they would oblige, swinging him just a little higher each time, their eyes meeting over his head with shared joy and promise. As the sun began to set, casting golden light through the trees, Adrian squeezed Monica's hand. "Happy?" he asked simply. Monica looked at her son, at the puppy, at the man beside her, who had walked into their lives by chance and stayed by choice. "Yes," she said, "I think we all are." 6 months later, Monica and Theo moved into Adrian's waterfront home. A year after that, on a perfect summer day, they were married in the backyard, with Max as the ring bearer and Theo proudly walking Monica down the aisle. When it came time for the vows, Adrian knelt down to Theo's level first. "Theo," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "I promise to always be there for you, to build sand castles with you, to answer your questions, to catch you when you fall, and to show you how to be a good man. I may not have been there from the beginning, but I promise to be there for all the days ahead. I love you, son." Theo, dressed in a miniature suit that matched Adrian's, threw his arms around his new father's neck. "I love you too, Daddy," he whispered, loud enough for everyone to hear. There wasn't a dry eye in the gathering as Adrian stood to face Monica. "And you," he said, taking her hands in his. "The woman who taught me what really matters. I promise to love you both for all the days of my life, to be the man you deserve and the father Theo needs. You gave me the greatest gift when you let me into your lives. I will spend forever trying to be worthy of that gift. Monica, tears streaming down. Her face squeezed his hands. We found each other that day in the park, she said, and we've been finding our way home ever since. I promise to walk beside you for all the days ahead, the hard ones and the happy ones, to build our family together, one day at a time. As they sealed their vows with a kiss, Theo cheered and Max barked his approval. The gathered friends and family applauded, but Adrian and Monica barely noticed. They were home, they were family, they were complete. And it had all begun with a little boy who ran to a stranger, arms outstretched, with a single word that changed everything. Daddy. I've completed the final part of The Day He Called You Daddy, bringing the story to its conclusion. In part 4, we see Monica taking time away from Adrian to process her feelings, accepting the job at the community center, and eventually reaching out to reconnect with him. The emotional resolution comes when they meet again at the park, where Adrian has placed a special plaque on their tree and brings a puppy for Theo. Monica admits she's falling in love with him too, and Adrian offers her a key to his house as a first step toward building a life together. Theo directly asks if Adrian will be his daddy, and Adrian responds with care and honesty. The story concludes with an epilogue showing their life together 6 months later, and then at their wedding, where Adrian makes vows not only to Monica, but also to Theo, completing the family they've built together.